Welcome to Advent Crown Inspiration. This idea has sprung up because of us all being in lockdown for Advent Sunday, which this year falls on the 29th of November. We thought you might like to see how the Advent crown that we're going to use and the recorded worship was made, but also perhaps some simpler ideas for you to try at home. In a moment there's going to be a slide with a list of things that you might like to pause and write down or go back to later. But the main emphasis of this is for you to have a really good look around your house and in your cupboards and in your Christmas decorations. Use your initiative and creativity and come up with your own idea. Okay, obviously I'm going to be using some sharp implements, so please, if you are, please be very careful. And I've already picked some greenery from the Manse garden, which I'm very fortunate to have access to, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the Advent crown. So first of all, decades ago I bought this tin tray and it has 4 candle holders attached to it. So for Advent, which involves 4 Sundays and Christmas Day, this is just right. Onto it I have stuck some very special flower arranging plasticine, which goes on dry, but once it's stuck, if it gets wet it won't come off. And I'm going to attach the container, hang on, pressing it down firmly. In the container I have a piece of Oasis which is recycled, leaving enough space around the edge so you can water it easily. But just to make sure that's really secure, I'm going to use flower arranging tape, and I'm going to tuck it right under the tin plate on one side, cut the other end, make sure it's nice and taut, and tuck it under the underside, the other side. This as well is brilliant tape, because as long as your hands are dry and the tape is dry and when you're sticking to it is dry, it will not move if it then gets wet. So it's ideal for this. Now, in flower arranging, the main thing we want to do is hide what we call the mechanics. So in this case, the mechanics are the tape, the Oasis, and the container with the water in it. So first of all, take it all out. I've got some little trails of ivy. You don't need huge for table arrangements. You need quite a bit, but you don't need huge. So I've got, try and put it level with the container as you can, and sort of encourage it to go down. Yeah, look, I'm going to tuck a leaf under. There we go. And that'll do that. And you just carry on round. I happen to have 3 bits of ivy for each thing, and I sort of don't mind if it hangs off the edge a little bit, because I like that, but that one's a bit too long. Right, so I'm going to very carefully carry on, put in ivy all the way around. I see, I didn't even judge this quite right when I got it from the garden. I just cut them a bit smaller. There we go. Again, I'm putting them in at a slight angle so that they come down over the container and down onto the edge of the plate. And I'm tucking some under the little candle holders, if it'll do it. It might not, but we're not going to worry about that. So I've already spoken about Advent Sunday and the tradition of lighting the candles. and with it people usually have some words, sometimes sing verses of the Holly and the Ivy carol, which that's usually why you have holly and ivy in an Advent crown. Now it's just taking me a little minute, but I am getting there. La la la. So as I said, I don't mind having it spread out a bit because I've got an old bar stool that this is going to sit on when Andy does his filming. So it won't matter if it sort of hangs over a bit. No, that one's a bit too long. I'll cut that one a bit shorter. Right, I've got another couple of bits. Let's put that one in there. So, if you can probably see, we've got ivy sprouting out all the way around. Now the next thing I've got is some lovely fir tree, and that does start to smell very Christmassy if you squish it in your fingers. So I'm going to cut, this is obviously far too big, but if you follow up the stem, the main stem, and just cut each bit off separately, so you end up with a little pile of usable pieces. Now, the underside is slightly paler than that side. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just pulling off a little bit so there's a bit of stem, enough stem to stick in. And instead of putting it in flat, I put it in almost so it's standing up. And again, I'm going to go all the way around in between the pieces of ivy. That one's a bit long, so I'll just cut it back. I'm pushing it right in. You don't want to have it in a tight, you need it in at least a couple of centimetres to ensure it's not going to fall out. This has got to last quite a few weeks, and that's another good reason for having a good reservoir that you could put water in. Okay. I've got another bit. I'm just going to run my secateurs up the stem to get a few more bits. Again, you can see I'm just pulling off the excess foliage, so I've got a really nice length to stick in. Here we go. Again, just following all the way around. And even though the oasis is square, by using slightly different lengths, you could still create a circular shape around your base crown. There we are, pull some more bits off. Oops. There we go, go in. Da da da. Yes, I am one of these strange people that talks to the foliage. Right. Some other bits. Here we go. It's surprising how many of these little bits you need. But as I say, I only did actually cut 2 branches off the tree. Right. There we go. Pulling off the excess still. There, you've got to be concentrating. Right. No, that's not got a rigid enough stem. Let's try another bit. Right, that'll do. Now, before I go any further, I've explained that we have a candle for each day in Advent, and I had 3 matching red candles, so they can go in like that. And my last one is a slightly different colour, and it was slightly bent. Well, it was more bent than this, and I straightened it by putting it on the radiator for 5 or 10 minutes and then gently squeezing and straightening. And this candle is very special. My friend David made it from previously used at a midnight carol service candle wax. So that's lovely. It's not going to go in because I need to trim the bottom, so I'm not going to put that in for a moment. I've been brought up with the tradition of 4 red candles, but in the middle a white and shining king. So to show you how to do the white and shining king, which I've got this great big pillar candle, because I was determined to just use things that I'd got at home and not buy anything specifically for this. So you need some cocktail sticks. So you can see those, they're a bit tricky to see. And then what I'm going to do is, using my special tape again, I'm going to put the tape on the candle like that. I don't know if you can see that, like that. And then I'm going to tuck a cocktail stick in and carry on winding, making sure the cocktail stick's sort of at right angles. And I use 3 because just like a 3-legged stool doesn't wobble, hopefully a 3-pinned candle won't wobble. So I go right round up till you join up to where the tape started. So you go right round. Yeah, it's very bit difficult to see that. If I turn it up, you might see. I don't know how you're going to see that. If I put my hand, see the spikes are here. So spikes down, you put it into the top of the oasis. Okay. So now we need to fill the gap between the candle and the green I've already put in. So I've got some bushier stuff. I don't know what this is called, but it grows beautifully in the manse garden. It's quite a nice bright green. So I'm going to put a row of that in. Still quite low. And that's going to go all the way around. Now, obviously, you're going to have to watch your candles. You don't want them burning the greenery. So that's another good reason to sort of get the greenery angled nicely down, so it's not really interfering with the candle. When I've finished the demonstration, there'll be a slide about candle safety. Let's spread those out a bit. I'll put those a bit too close together. There we go. And then I've got some holly, which doesn't really have prickles, but it is a holly. I left the berries for the birds. So I'm going to tuck that in. Put this, especially going up to the candle again. This is only going to be a light for one Sunday morning, so I don't think it'll burn down that far. But obviously with candles there's always a danger. At the end of this demonstration there will be a slide with candle safety note on it. It's quite humorous. I found it online. It's the 10 Commandments of Candle Safety, which I thought might amuse everybody. Right. So now I'm putting in filling the gaps with the bushier thing. This is another kind of ivy that has forming the little berries on it, and that's really nice. Now I probably will go around and add a bit more, but for now I'm going to stop. So follow that back in there, tidy up a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this. This candle's too fat at the bottom, so you just get some scissors and you can just sort of carve a bit off like that. That's the safest way to do it, rather than using a knife. So just making it so it's not completely flat at the bottom, it's more shaped. If you've done it before and are very confident, you can always melt it in. So now I'm going to push and twist. There you go. As I said, we're on lockdown Advent, so one candle being a different colour isn't a problem. Okay, now that is lovely, but I do like to add a few other things. So let me just put my lid on my cocktail sticks. Oh, if you haven't got a plate like I've got, you can get these little green plastic things that hold a candle and then wedge down into Oasis. I just happen to have some because I've been doing flower arranging for ages and ages, but that is an alternative. Now the other thing I've got are some things to add a bit more colour, because I'm, you know, love all that. And I've got some frosted apples. And I liked the idea of these because I thought this sort of reminds us about the Garden of Eden and Eve giving into temptation, and really why it was necessary for Jesus to come into the world. So I'll put in a few of those. Ooh, stand up you. So I'll put in some frosty apples, and then of course we have the holly, which reminds us. I'm just going to trim off. That's the other thing you could do. If you think any of the leaves are a bit too near the candle, you can, don't be afraid to just cut them off so that it's not so vulnerable. So the holly reminds us of the crown of thorns that Jesus wore before his crucifixion. And with that are the berries of the holly, which remind us of his blood that was shed for us because he loved us so much. And I've got some really nice false berries. You get these in places like Wilkinson's or Trago. I don't think that's over advertising. Other outlets are available, is what they usually say, isn't it? So I'm putting some of those in as well. And then it does look fit for a king, I hope. There we go. A little more. Again, I might sort of look at it later and do a bit more. So this is the Advent crown that we'll be using in the recorded acts of worship from Advent Sunday on the 29th of November until Christmas Day. I hope you've enjoyed this part of my demonstration. I'll continue in a minute with some other options. Right, now some of you are going to be saying, well, I can't possibly achieve that to have my Advent crown at home. And we sort of realise that some of you will be able to do something like that because you're flower arrangers or you've got stuff. But my next two ideas, I hope you will inspire you, as I said, to have a rummage, see what you can find and just make your own Advent crown. The most important thing is that you're going to have 5 candles, not 4 candles, 5 candles. So my next idea is using up leftovers. So I've got a tray, I've got a round tray because I think round is sort of crown more than a rectangle, but hey, you could go all modern and use a square tray or a rectangle tray. Now I'm going to put some foil across the tray and I'm just going to cut it, make it slightly bigger. Okay, roll that up. I thought first of all this makes it look a little bit more festive, and it also covers up the duck on the tray, which is a good idea, and also it'll catch any wax if any were to be spilt, but shouldn't be with this one. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, using my hands, I'm putting them palm down, I'm pushing it thing, and then moving my hands out to the side so that I find the edge of the rim of the tray, and then I'm going to very carefully fold all the foil in on itself like that. Oh, you need to put this shiny side down. I don't know if I said that, so I'm saying it now. Shiny side down, and then And you've got folded all the little bits flat, like so. You can pick it up, turn it over, push it back down, and then your tray sort of looks festive already. Look at that. Dun, dun. So then this is the fun bit, because I rummaged in my cupboard and I found I had slightly used scented candles in glass pots. So I thought this is really good. I suspect loads of you have got these hanging around. And I think Chloe, being from an Anglican persuasion, will be very happy. I've got different coloured ones for different Sundays. I haven't probably got the correct colour for each Sunday. They're just different colours. And this last one is a lovely little glass vase with frosted trees and reindeer on, with a candle in. This was a present from Erika, my mother-in-law. So I'm just standing those there. And then I thought, well, we still need the big white one in the middle. And I did happen to have an unused one, and I had a sort of candle stand that will raise it up a bit. So I'm just going to stand that in the middle. So, hope you can see. That's that right. And then, I mean, that's fine. But then I thought, oh, what else have I got? And I had this garland, and it's little green leaves and red berries on a wire. And I thought, oh, that might be nice. So you will see this isn't going to work now. So I'm just going to go around and I'm tucking it just inside the rim of the tray. There we go. That's a little bit fiddly. Like that. I don't know how many times, I might want to go around again. But I'm just going to twist that there so it twists the end to the bit where it meets. And then it's a circle. Oh, no, I didn't do it quite short enough. Just adjust that slightly. There we go. I'm just going to do one for now, and then you just need your scissors to cut that over. Make sure you just bend the pointy end in on itself, because it's not nice to see it, and it's not nice if you hurt yourself on it. So I mean, you could do more than that, but it does give it a little bit of a green feel. But again, it's just a little bit of garland. I would be a little bit wary about using tinsel because it's highly flammable. And I think even with glass jars, I think even though Blue Peter used to use tinsel and naked candles floating in the air, which you think about now and it's like a health and safety nightmare. So I think we'll just stick to, probably best not to use tinsel. But I thought, oh, it could do with something else. And I've got one of these little picks, which is holly and berries, artificial. And I'm going to slide that in under the middle one so that it fills one of the gaps. I mean, you could find 4 things. I could. I'm not going to worry about 4 things, because the other thing I found was a little robin. And I mean, to be honest, the robin hasn't really got anything to do with the Christmas story, but it's our sort of Christmas bird, and they're just really lovely, aren't they? And it makes you smile. So he's going to sit the other side. There we go. No, well, he doesn't want to rest there. I'm going to put him here. There we go. And then you can see him. So on the 29th of November, when we're lighting our candle on the main one, if you've gathered some candles together, you could light your first one. I'll put that there. I'll turn it. Hopefully you can see the robin. I'm afraid because we're not the BBC, we haven't got super lighting or cameramen. Then my other idea is so simple, because some of you are going to be going, oh, what's wrong with us? So I have a Christmas plate. This was my mum's, and it's got a lovely all over holly design under the green glaze. And then years and years ago, I went to Copenhagen and I bought, oh, I've just pulled the wick out of the candle, that's no good. I bought these little wooden red holders that hold a nightlight. I've probably had these nearly 30 years, but I do have 4. So I'm going to put those on the plate. And I thought, oh, what might people have that's similar? And I thought, well, what about napkin rings? And putting the little thing inside. So that could be an option. And then before you light a candle, you should make sure the wick's nice and stood up, because it'll light more easily, and then it'll burn more evenly as well. And then of course you still have to have our white and shining king. And when I rummaged, I found this reconstituted stone that's supposed to be a real pebble, but it isn't a real pebble. It's in the shape of a heart, and it's got a space for a nightlight. So I'm putting that in the centre. And really, it could be as simple as that. I'm going to attempt to tip and see if you can see it. No, I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Woo! Anyway, I hope you join in. I hope you go and have a rummage and a think and see what you can come up with. And if you do make one, if you could take a photograph of it and send the image to Liz in the office, and then perhaps we could put this on our Facebook page or on the website so we can all see how creative the people in the Listgard circuit are. Thank you for watching.